Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a Stroppel cane. Now this was originally a technique from Alice Stroppel. Now I'm not going to be doing the exact same Stroppel cane as she does. This is my take on the version. So it's similar, but it's not the exact same. And I'll include a link to her tutorial in the links below if you wish to see the original. But this is just my take. So for the Stroppel cane, you're going to need some form of leftovers. I'm using some leftovers from my fire petal flower tutorial. And so they are cane ends, but you can use any you want. And you're also going to need a plain sheet of clay. Now it can be any colour. I'm using black today, but it can be any colour. And you'll basically take all your canes, ball them up into one ball. Now these are a little old. They've been lying in my leftover box for about 3 or so weeks now. And this is Fimo with Primo Translucent. Okay. Once you've got it into a ball, you'll just chop it into sections. And it doesn't have to be specific, you just want to basically chop it into smaller pieces. And as I said before, this was done using Fimo Pro and Primo Translucent. And now I have no problem mixing brands together. When it comes to baking time, which is usually the biggest problem when it comes to mixing brands, I find the midsection between the two brands' baking temperatures. And I usually find practically every single time, I haven't had any trouble for the last 5 years or so. The last time my beads burnt, it was because I didn't change the temperature gauge, and so they burnt. But I've never actually had problems with mixing brands so long as I find the midpoint between the two baking temperatures. And also I bake my beads for an hour. I never bake them for half an hour. I always bake them for an hour minimum, and that way they're nice and strong afterwards. Okay, so once you've got them all into bits and pieces like that, just move it to the side. And you'll bring over your black. Oh, got little bits of clay everywhere. And you'll just chop this into 4 pieces. It doesn't have to be exact size. They don't have to be all the same size. You just want to chop them into pieces. And you'll just take your scrap, pretty scrap, but scrap, and you'll just lay that on top of the black. Just like this. Okay. And I'll show some examples at the end of the video of what the technique can look like depending on which colours of scrap you use, as it can look a little different depending on what scrap you can use, obviously. So once you've done that, you'll stack them. And again, they don't have to be the same size. You just want to stack them. Like that. And just fold in any bits that aren't sitting right. And then you'll take your blade and pick it up. I'll just clean off the work surface quickly. There. So now you have a very ugly looking stack at the moment. Don't worry, it will look better once we've reduced it. So now you want to condense this to fit it into, to make it into a somewhat square shape. And if you can hear the little bell in the background, my cat is in the room. I've got the heater on, and so she demanded to be in here, so I decided it would probably be quieter to let her stay in the room than chuck her out and have her scratching at the door. So anyway, then you'll start rolling it out using your roller, rolling from both directions and flipping it, and then rolling it from both directions, and this keeps distortion to a limit. And then what you want to do is you want to push it into a rectangular shape, because we want to stack this again. And now you don't have to stack it again, but I find that you get a really interesting stone look if you stack it multiple times and then cut it. Okay. So you can see it's quite thick at the moment, but I'm just trying to get it to a place where I can cut and stack it for you. So you just want to get it into a rectangle shape, like that. Then you'll take your blade and cut it in half, and this is what it looks like at the moment. And then you'll just stack it. And I'm only going to stack it once, but the more you stack it, the more refined the pattern will look. But I'm probably only going to stack it twice, I think. I'm going to stack it one more time. Okay. And now before you cut it, you want to make sure that this is all compacted together so that the pieces bond together and become one lump of clay again. And so what you will do is you'll flip it, squish, flip it, squish, and you'll carry on doing that all the way around. And this is a great way to reduce it as well. And what this will do is it will squish all of those layers together and will mean that this is one solid piece of clay that's going to stay together. Okay. And then if you want to reduce it further, you can take crab claws like that, and you have one hand like this, and then you bring one hand up like that, and together you squeeze up and down the cane, rotate, and continue to squeeze up and down the cane. Rotate, squeeze, and up and down the cane. And what this will do is it will reduce it. Okay, and then when you're happy with how long it is, you can just take your roller and tidy it up by rolling along each side. Now I'm going to take my flexible blade, because it's thinner, it will produce a better slice. And now when I'm slicing using my thin blade, I am slicing towards me so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm putting tension on the blade because, as you can see, it can wobble. You want to be pulling on the outside edges as you slice, and slice straight down. And that is what you should come out looking with. Now if you stack this more, of course you'd get a finer pattern, but I kind of like it the way it looks at the moment. So I'm going to go and get some examples. Okay, so here are some examples. I'll just bring this up for you to see. Now this one was done when I was practicing some of my translucent canes, and so this one was done using translucent white and black, and this was the leftovers of some of my translucent canes. So when I bake this, it goes, well, some of it goes translucent. So that's just one. Then here's one from when I was practicing some leaf canes, and so you can look at it, looks completely different. Here's another one where I was practicing a landscape cane, so if you look carefully, you can see some star canes in there. And here's another one. Can't remember what I was doing with this one. Probably something to do with ice. But again, it looks pretty different from the other ones. And this one, I was doing a rainbow feather cane of some sorts. And so this one has multiple colours in it, and it gives it a really retro look. So you can see that depending on what your scraps look like, your cane is going to look completely different. Depending on how many layers you put into your cane, it's also going to look different. And so play around with it and see what you can come up with. So those are just a few examples of what I've done using a Stroppel cane. I don't actually have any beads at the moment where I've used a Stroppel cane, as well, I have so many techniques that I do that I don't always use them in beads. I usually just store them and then add them to beads when I want to. But anyway, that's how you create a Stroppel cane. And so I do hope that that tutorial was helpful to you, and if it was, please do check the links below the video, as there'll be links to more tutorials like this one. And if you are on my website, please do check below the video and below the links as well, as there'll be a form there where you can send in pictures of what you have done using a Stroppel cane, or what Stroppel canes you've made. Just basically Stroppel cane photos. You can send in any that you have, and I look forward to seeing any if you do have any, and so I hope to see you there. And if you're on YouTube, check in the links below. I'll have a link to my website, jessamatutorials.com, where I have a whole bunch of articles, tips and tricks, and forms where you can send in pictures, and so I do hope to see you around. And as always, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.